All right. So, welcome back. Making this live stream because I've got a lot of notes. If you start looking back at some of the past few days, I have a ridiculous amount of notes. Um I'll show you, like, this one isn't that long until you realize that some of the links that I've created are thousands of words, tens of thousands of characters, almost 30,000 characters. Um And the problem is, if you check this out, I'm making some good connections, but it's a lot of effort to try to sort all this information at once. So I found this video, which I'll show you real quick, um, on a minimalist Zettelkasten. So that's the idea of the whole, like, link-based note taking, making connections with your notes. It's called Zettelkasten. And this guy promises to teach how to study and take these notes and make it an easy process. So I'm going to be going through it and applying it and restructuring um, my entire system based on what he says. So hopefully it's worth the watch.
When people first hear about Zettelkasten note-taking, they often have a heap of unresolved questions like, what do I write down? Which app do I use when I'm taking and cultural structure? What if I feel that way? I already talked about choosing the right location, this video here, talking about this, but if the find the answers, you'll be have the overwhelming variety of different steps, many of which I'm already pointing out and seem like rocket science. Well, it's physics, Buddhism, as you can see, and 25 5 now. All the folders, my six I found it with love different levels and for different folders, you can set it, you can support the folder. But when I came to learn the hard way is the benefits of the system don't increase with its complexity. In fact, most often.
So that's a big thing, right? Like, I'm adding complexity without getting any benefit from it. So that's a good point.
Tinkering with tags and thinking how to best structure your nodes can distract you from what actually matters, absorbing ideas, writing them down, and finding the connections. Remember, the original Zettelkasten system pioneered by Nicholas Luhmann was built using paper cards. Yes, computers can make the workflow more convenient and more efficient, but they also have an inherent danger of pulling you away from the fundamental principles and distracting you with shiny, colorful lights. And I think this is what's happening right now. Today, I'll tell you about my quite simple and elegant solution without any overcomplications that I built over a year ago, and it still does an amazing job for me on a daily basis. If you're interested, I'll call.
Let me actually pull up the studio. I forgot to do that. Just to see if there's anyone in chat.
My name's Artem. I'm a computational neuroscience student and researcher. Here we explore mental and digital tools to help us study and learn more effectively. If you're interested, consider subscribing to the channel not to miss anything. What I'm about to show you is my very simple but yet quite powerful implementation of Zettelkasten in Obsidian, which consists of just 4 folders and 2 main tags. I will walk you through step by step on how to set it up from scratch. But before we begin, a little technical detail about how Obsidian works under the hood. I think it's important to know what you're dealing with when you're creating files and folders inside of Obsidian. As you may know, it functions as a wrapper on top of your local text files. Obsidian basically gives superpowers to a folder of text. And that means that each note is actually just a single markdown document on your hard drive, which can be opened and edited in any software. The most upper level structure of Obsidian is the vault. I think it's a really great term because it reflects the meaning. A vault is where all of your notes live. Inside the vault, they can be structured in nested folders. Everything can be linked with everything else freely. But Obsidian has no access to what's outside the vault. This is like a boundary of your own tiny universe. But on the hard drive, the vault is actually just an ordinary folder where files can be copied, deleted, organized into subfolders.
Yeah, so that was something I didn't realize, and it's literally just a link of text-based documents. But the funny thing is that when you add something, so like I've got all these assets, sec plus notes, images, all this stuff, it actually duplicates it. So you can delete the original one and it'll keep it, which is good to know.
Just like anywhere else on your computer. One little detail though, Obsidian creates a hidden subfolder called .obsidian, where it stores all its system information, like the theme and the plugins, but you don't need to access it directly, so forget it's been there. Let's get inside the vault and see how the folders are organized. As you may remember, the key idea behind Zettelkasten is that you don't impose an artificial structure on the system. You don't create folders to separate the topics. Instead, you put everything into one place and let the structure emerge by itself through interconnection.
So, and that's a big thing too, right? Like, I'm forcing these connections to be made, but in reality, what should be happening is the connections happen organically, but I want to figure out the process.
I have a video dedicated specifically for the philosophy of Zettelkasten, and the link to it would be somewhere in the top right corner. This is how Luhmann originally went about his slipbox. And similarly, I have one single folder in the root of the vault titled Zettelkasten, where all of the atomic idea nodes are stored on absolutely every topic. Now, you might ask a question. Didn't you say it had only 4 folders? Where the fuck is this monstrosity then? The thing is, the Zettelkasten itself consists of those 4 folders and nothing else. However,
Okay, Zettelkasten, reference notes, files, templates. So let's create those. Oh, whoops. I wonder why he does 600. It's probably just for order. Oh, wait. Files, templates.
Since I use Obsidian more generally as a notebook, I have other folders as well, such as lab notes where I store everything related to my research, YouTube video scripts, as well as some personal stuff. These are completely separate from the Zettelkasten system, so we won't talk about these, but pretend they don't exist. So what are those 4 folders? First of all, the main one with all the ideas. Reference notes are something that I jot down on books, papers, lectures, etc.
And let me actually start taking notes on this. So okay. Okay, so we have all right, so let's keep going.
Many of them don't contain any actual information, but serve as a fast way to insert a reference, to know where a certain idea came from. Files is where all of the attachments are stored, mostly images, and templates is where all of the template nodes are stored, but we'll get to the templates later in this video. The first thing to do is to create 4 aforementioned core folders: Zettelkasten, reference notes, files, and templates. Next up, go to settings, and then files and links. Change the default location for notes to in the folder specified below, and select the Zettelkasten folder we created.
Oh, okay. So let's go into settings and just do that real quick.
Created. Similarly, change the default location for attachments to the files folder. You can
Did I not create? I'll just do assets. I pretty much already had, oh, whoops. I pretty much already had
change
that.
the theme
We'll
that
keep
is how your
going.
Obsidian looks for something more pleasant in the appearance section of the settings. For example, I really like the dark version of the Atom theme, so I'll select that. Note that
Okay, hold up. Hot take, but I think that this theme that I have right now, I tried a few. I literally think this is the best theme. It's the coolest. Like the dark with the reds. Every other theme that I tried for some reason had yellow buttons with white text, and it was killing me. But I like this, and then the way that the map looks is really cool also.
when you install a particular theme, it's just a .css file in hidden .obsidian folder. With just a little bit of CSS knowledge, you can take Obsidian customization to a whole new level. Next, go to settings, hotkeys. One hotkey that we'll use very often is the templates, insert template.
Okay. No hotkeys.
Go ahead and assign your desired key combination to it. I have it as a command T. In settings, go to core plugin.
What is the... New tab. Can that not be Control N? New note. The heck is a tab? Wait. Move current tab to new window. I don't even know what a tab is, so I'm probably not going to miss that.
plugins. This is just additional functionality that's pre-built in Obsidian, but disabled by default. I really like the following plugins. Tag pane, to see all your existing tags on a nice panel.
Let's
And
go
template,
back.
but disabled by default. I really like the following plugins. Tag pane, to see all your existing tags on a nice panel. And
Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay, so it's already selected.
templates. This one is essential. I have no idea why they left it off by default. Ooh, and when you see the Zettelkasten graphics plugin, leave it off despite the temptation. This will make the titles of your notes look ugly, plus it introduces friction in creating a new note. In a moment, we'll do something more elegant. Next up, community plugins. And oh boy, once you turn off the safe mode, there is a lot to choose from. But be careful not to get lost in this rabbit hole. I know that feeling where you search for plugins, installing insane amounts of them, customizing different options, and all of this feels productive, like you're actually doing something, but in fact, it's just another form of procrastination. Just like the exact software you choose for the Zettelkasten.
That's honestly, that's a big thing. I like that idea. So we'll see what else he has set up.
Hardly matters. Plugins matter even less. So don't let this tweaking get in the way of you actually writing down ideas. However, I will mention 2 plugins that I use every time I open Obsidian. There's also a third one, but it's only relevant when you're working with bibliographies and citation managers. If at some point I make a video about Zotero and how I use it with Obsidian, I will mention it then. But for now, to build a very simple and elegant, yet quite powerful Zettelkasten system, just 2 plugins are enough. The first one is Sliding Panes. It allows
Okay, so community plugins. Turn on community plugins.
you to open multiple notes side by side and easily slide through them as if they are paper cards lying on your desk.
That's
the second
kinda
plugin is called
cool.
Admonition.
That's pretty cool. Okay.
And this is the plugin I've just fallen absolutely in love with. Basically, it allows you to insert sections of text in your note, which then get rendered as really great-looking blocks. There's quite a few
Admonition.
types of those admonitions available. You can find the full list on Plugins GitHub page. Templates is an amazing function that lets you save time and effort when creating a new node. So let's configure our templates folder. Go to Settings, Plugin Options, Templates, and select the Templates folder, which we created earlier. Now, just press Command
Okay. Let's go ahead and set up our templates real quick. Oh.
T or whatever hotkey you happen to have set up and select the template. Now, since we don't have anything in the templates folder, this menu would be empty. Let's fix that. So what is a template? Basically, any node can act as one. And when you apply it, the contents of this node will be pasted to where your cursor is currently located. But this wouldn't be so useful if you couldn't tell Obsidian that in this template, this piece of information should be unique for each time you apply it. For example, you can insert the current date, time, title of the active node, and other useful things. And with special plugins, you can take it to a whole new level. But again, this is the territory where it's easy to get lost in a variety of features and get distracted from what really matters, putting ideas into notes. That's why I use it in a very simple fashion, which is good enough to get the job done, but doesn't get in the way. The most important template in my system is the one which I use 99% of the time, is titled Core Zettel Idea. That scary line at the top will paste the current date and time at which you created the node, kind of like the Zettelkasten graphics plugin. Status indicates that this node is one atomic idea. Tags is where I classify nodes in one way or another.
Okay. So that'll be interesting. Just to figure out, okay, it looks like he just has a simple template that has the timestamp. Idea he said was an atomic thing. And then tags is just gonna be connections. So let's go back and listen to that.
Created the node, kind of like the Zettelkasten graphics plugin. Status indicates that this node is one atomic idea. Tags is where I classify nodes in one way or another, but we'll get to tagging in a bit. Title will automatically make the heading with that node style. Now the folders are set up, plugins are turned on, the template is created, so let's dive deeper into creating the nodes.
Okay, so let's go back and watch that, and we're just gonna follow along. So first, let's make some more notes. So plus T. Right? Type the name of a template.
Is the one that the and with special plugins, it can take you to a whole new level. But again, this is the territory where it's easy to get lost in a variety of features and get.
So the coolest thing is okay.
Get distracted from what really matters, putting ideas into notes. That's why I use it in a very simple fashion, which is good enough to get the job done, but doesn't get in the way. The most important template in my system is the one that which I use 99% of the time, is titled Core Zettel Idea. That's scary.
Okay. Zettel. And I'll keep this for now. I'll probably make it my own at some point. Okay, I think I did the wrong hotkey. Hold on. Or let's just do it this way. Let's just create a to-do and say so it looks like that's how you set up variables. Hmm. And I like this idea because, well, let me just pull it up in view. So we've got all this, which is like irrelevant. It's like metadata in a like a HTTP request or something, right? But oh, that's cool. You can set that's actually I guess markdown for a divider is 3 underscores. So it gives like that cool little lightning bolt. That's cool. But here's the thing. We get the title automatically imported, and then we have references, so we can start linking things really fast.
Line at the top, you'll paste the current date and time at which you created the node, kind of like the Zettelkasten graphics plugin. Status indicates that this node is one atomic idea. Tags is where I classify nodes in one way or another, but we'll get to tagging in a bit. Title will automatically make the heading with that node style. Now the folders are set up, plugins are turned on, the template is created, so let's dive deeper into creating the nodes. Before we begin, a quick tip. You can create nodes with a usual hotkey, Command Control N, and this will immediately create a new node. But I strongly encourage you to use Command Control L instead. What it does is that it opens a window where you can start typing the title of the node you want to create, and it will show you whether you already have something like this, so that you can.
That's really helpful. Hold on. Command Control O. New note. Enter to create. That's pretty cool. Control T. Guess you can't do it with that one for some reason. But that's a huge tip. Another thing that I want to do, everyone talks about atomic notes. Which is the name of a book. At some point, I want to read that. Just in the future.
But I strongly encourage you to use Command Control L instead. What it does is that it opens a window where you can start typing the title of the node you want to create, and it will show you whether you already have something like this, so that you can elaborate on the existing node instead of creating a duplicate. This becomes extremely useful several months into node taking, when you start to forget what you have created and when, and the fuzz search is just amazing. In case you don't have anything related, from this menu you can create a new node with that title. So suppose you're reading a book and you discover an interesting idea. Create a new node, apply the template, and explain that idea in your own words. For example, I really think that this concept of habits compounding over time is really valuable. Under references, I usually write down where this idea came from, because it can be useful later on, and the exact format of the references doesn't really matter.
Let me actually go back to that template because I think it might just be a note.
99% of the time, is titled core Zettel idea.
Okay.
Idea. That scale line at the top will place the current date and time at which you created the node, kind of like the Zettelkasten reference plugin. Status indicates that this node is one atomic idea. Tags is where I classify nodes in one way or another, but we'll get to tagging in a bit. Title will automatically make the heading with that node style. Now, the folder starts up, plugins are turned on, the template is created, so let's dive deeper into creating the nodes. Before we begin, a quick tip. You can create nodes with a user hotkey, Command Control N, and this will immediately create a new node. But I strongly encourage you to use Command Control L instead. What it does is that it opens a window where you can start typing the title of the node you want to create, and it will show you whether you already have something like this, so that you can elaborate on the existing node instead of creating a duplicate. This becomes extremely useful several months into node taking, when you start to forget what you have created and when, and the fuzz search is just amazing. In case you don't have anything related, from this menu you can create a new node with that title. So suppose you're reading a book and you discover an interesting idea. Create a new node, apply the template, and explain that idea in your own words. For example, I really think that this concept of habits compounding over time is really valuable. Under references, I usually write down where this idea came from. Reading a book and you
Let's slow it down and see if we can see how he applies a
discover an
template.
interesting idea.
Otherwise, I just
Create
do it
a
as
new
a
node, apply the template, and explain that idea in a new node.
Oh yeah, because it's already established. Hold on. Boom. Did it. Okay, cool.
Node with that title. So suppose you're reading a book and you discover an interesting idea. Create a new node, apply the template, and explain that idea in your own words. For example, I really think that this concept of habits compounding over time is really valuable. Under references, I usually write down where this idea came from, because it can be useful later on, and the exact format of the references doesn't really matter, as long as you can find the source if you need to. For example, when I'm watching a lecture on YouTube, I can just insert a link with a timestamp. If I'm working with a source that could potentially contain a whole collection of ideas that I'm likely to turn into Zettels, like a book or a huge online course, I will create a separate node dedicated for the source and put it inside the references folder. This is primarily to save time, since I can easily insert a link to that reference node instead of writing down the title and author every time, which by the way takes us to a link. This is the most powerful.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to that one more time because that sounds helpful. First, I want to just give myself a reference for this. Okay. So That'll be helpful just for tracking my learning. References is just okay.
Start to forget what you have created and when, and the file search is just amazing. In case you don't have anything related, from this menu you can create a new note with that title. So suppose you're reading a book and you discover an interesting idea. Create a new note, apply the template.
Let's slow it down. And I'm just gonna go through this. Let me think if there's an idea that I want to make a note of. Oh, I'm empty. I have no ideas. Okay, let's just watch this.
And explain that idea in your own words. For example, I really think that this concept.
So I'm just gonna steal his example for now. So habit building, habits compound over time. Effective habits similar. Habits are easier to form in new environments. That's cool. So like this idea that he has, you won't see results right away. This is the problem because due to that, many people can't stick with habits. And then he links to another idea, which is habits track casual relationships on a short time scale. So that's an interesting way to make notes. It seems like the optimal way to do that is you summarize the whole thing in a one sentence, and that's the title. So let's do example. So actually, I'm just gonna do it this way. Title should body of information.
Concept of habits compounding over time is really valuable. Under references, I usually write down where this idea came from, because it can be useful later on, and the exact format of the references doesn't really matter, as long as you can find the source if you need to. For example, when I'm watching a lecture on YouTube, I can just insert a link with a timestamp. If I'm working with a source that could potentially contain a whole collection of ideas that I'm likely to turn into Zettels, like a book or a huge online course, I will create a separate note dedicated for this source and put it inside the references folder. This is
Okay. So let's give an example. Let's do atomic notes. Okay. So this is actually making a lot more sense, and it seems like it could be a very, very helpful thing in the future. It's also interesting that he summarizes chapter, like in the book, he summarizes chapter 4, chapter 3. Um, but then he can also reference ideas. So it's very focused. I think I just need to read the book. But we'll keep going for now because I think this is really helpful.
This is primarily to save time, since I can easily insert a link to that reference note instead of writing down the title and author every time, which
Mm. Okay, this is so at some point I'm gonna be doing like 100 days of Python. So each day, let me just think of how to explain this in like at like a high level. So example. So let's say from the top. Course. So let's say I want to do the 100 days of code course. Um, in reference notes, I would create 100 days of code link. Okay. Then in Zettels, I would create, you know, lesson 1. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I wouldn't. Um, and then I can say if, let's say there's a concept that I want to explore more. So we go to Zettelkasten. Okay, I would create Zettelkasten variables, and then I would create okay. That's okay. I think this is actually a game changer. So So what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the next at least 2 hours is just restructuring my entire thing based on this. Let me finish the tutorial to see what else there is, because I think tagging will also be giving some, he'll be giving some pretty good tips on that. And then I'm just going to be restructuring my notes.
By the way, takes us to linking. This is the most powerful feature of Obsidian, and the fundamental pillar of Zettelkasten system itself. To insert a link from one node to the other, just type double square brackets, and it will bring the menu where you can start typing the title of the node you want to link to. As your knowledge base grows, you start to have a lot of linking material. But now, what about the tags field at the top of the template? The thing is, you can create a link to a node even if the node itself does not exist. You can write down pretty much anything here, and because there is no such node, the link would be of a darker color. Now, importantly, once you put a link to a non-existing node, Obsidian remembers that, and the next time you type double square brackets, it would be on the list. That way, single nodes can function as tags, and these non-existent ghost nodes will be displayed on the graph view. Pressing Ctrl Command G will show you the graph of the entire vault, where the nodes are the nodes, and the edges are links between them. As you add more and more nodes and tag them, eventually in the graph view, you will see the emerging structure. That is, the main Zettel idea core nodes will be clustered around some ghost nodes, which initially played the role of tags. If you see these hubs emerging, that means that this particular topic is recurring over and over again in your second brain, so it must be important. And this is the next level of organization, kind of like folders would be in a conventional note-taking system. But unlike folders, which come before you create the nodes, this structure emerged from the content itself. I have adopted the terminology that's
Okay. So it seems like reference would be an uplink, and then tags would be other connections. Let me just make sure that I got that right.
But now, what about the tags field at the top of the template? The thing is, you can create a link to a node even if the node itself does not exist. You can write down pretty much anything here, and because there is no such node, the link would be of a darker color. Now, importantly, once you put a link to a non-existing node, Obsidian remembers that, and the next time you type double square brackets, it would be on the list. That way, single nodes
Okay. Um use notes even if they don't exist to actually, so let's extract this section. What if I call it and let me just make sure that it created, yep. So it created it in Zettelkasten. Now when I go here, core Zettel idea. So I can say single notes function as tagged. And the reference that I got this from would be minimalist Zettelkasten. So I would reference it. This is just an example, so I know that I understand what's going on, but so minimalist Zettelkasten, and then tags. I could say Zettelkasten. I could say stuff like that. And these are things that maybe also like Zettel might be another one. Let's say even if it doesn't exist. That's weird. But worst case, I can get over that. Let me search my storage settings. That's really weird. Eh. I'm getting very close to running out of space. It's fine. Okay, so that's actually really, really helpful. And then let me save this as a note real quick. So continue to make connections. Now, the one thing I want to know is like, because the tags he used were pretty simple. The links he used were like full succinct ideas like Zettel's. And then the references he used were to documents. So I'll have to look into how that works also.
Can function as tags, and these non-existent ghost nodes will be displayed on the graph view. Pressing Ctrl Command G will show you the graph of the entire vault, where the nodes are the nodes, and the edges are links between them. As you add more and more nodes and tag them, eventually in the graph view, you will see the emerging structure. That is, the main Zettel idea core nodes will be clustered around some ghost nodes, which initially played the role of tags. If you see these hubs emerging, that means that this particular topic is recurring over and over again in your second brain, so it must be important. And this is the next level of organization, kind of like folders would be in a conventional note-taking system. But unlike folders, which come before you create the notes, this structure emerged from the content itself. I have adopted the terminology that's quite popular in the Obsidian community nowadays. We're going to call these hubs maps of content, or MOCs for short. When you see that a lot of atomic idea nodes cluster around something, you can then create an actual file for this, instead of it just being a ghost. And here's where the second template comes in, a template for a map of content. It's practically the same as the core idea Zettel template, it's just the status is changed to #mock, and references are removed. Once the note is created, it can serve purely organizational purposes and remain empty, or you can actually write something down or insert diagrams. You can see how the system is dynamic. New mocks appear, some get split, some merge. Don't be afraid to change the architecture on the go if it feels necessary. If you have a system that's already working for you, and which is totally different from what I just showed you, awesome. Everyone is different, and every second brain is different as well. If some points resonate with you, great. Use them as the inspiration to slightly tweak and adjust your system if you feel like you want to. But don't go and spend a week completely restructuring your vault just because someone on the internet has a different layout. If, on the other hand, you feel lost, frustrated, and don't know where to start, I totally feel your pain. Give this simple workflow a go for a few months. See how it works out. The point is to start simple, go with the flow, and then adjust your system one step at a time, depending on your personal needs. As your second brain matures, it will kind of tell you the most natural structure. It will be apparent. If, for example, you are a mathematician and you find yourself writing a lot of theorems as entries, it could make sense to introduce a hashtag theorem node status. But don't overcomplicate things from the beginning. Instead, take the nodes, connect them, and see where it takes you. Also note that this is a work in progress. If you ask me in a year, probably my setup and my workflow will change. But that's the natural process. As your personal knowledge system absorbs more and more ideas, it evolves.
Okay, so he's done. We'll watch it to the end just because Prime said it's good.
And the structure evolves along with it. That's all I have for you today. If you like the video, press the like button, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Stay tuned for more interesting stuff coming up. Goodbye, and thanks for the interesting knowledge.
Dang. Dang, son. He's got 128k subscribers. I've got like 10. Just 10. 555,000 views. That's pretty crazy. But it really is like simplicity, note taking, step by step. Like those are some pretty good promises. So let's go ahead and just open up OBS and shut down that display. Okay, so now comes the fun part where I have to do this all myself. And I'm going to move this live stream over here. So let's get started on that. And I'll kind of walk you through the process as I'm going through it. And hopefully it's helpful to some of you. If it's not, then at least it's helpful to me. So let's save this. And I just want to see... Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reorganize this whole thing, but first I want to save this, delete it, and see if it's still there. So ah, okay. Okay, so it's saved. We're good on everything. So now I'm gonna get back in and we are going to try to restructure as much as we can. So I think I think what I'm gonna do is just start moving some of these. So like app ideas, book ideas. These two, I think I can move to reference notes. Movie ideas. My learnings is like a huge note. Oh, whoops. Let's just take these. Security Plus is another big one. Principles is a book. Poems isn't that good. Something like Paddy Galloway, Obsidian. MBA. Holt's Declassified Cyber Survival Guide. And then let's just move some of these to Zettel. So like all the daily stuff in Zettelkasten, daily notes, I'm also gonna just move these to Zettelkasten. Files, was that part of... So I don't need files because I have assets. But I am going to take some of this stuff. I think all of these are PDFs. I'm just going to plop them in assets. And then I don't even know if I'm going to do courses like this, because I think they can just be reference notes. And so like big idea lists, I also want to keep in reference notes because at some point those will be fleshed out into full, or the ideas they'll be fleshed out into full things. Maybe I will keep a daily notes. No, because it's automatically going to put my daily notes in Zettelkasten. So like retrospective would be a good one. Future funding. That's the name of a book that I thought about writing at one point. The idea of Zettelkasten might actually be a good reference. And then let's just change this. AI. So Okay. Poems, Zettelkasten. Right? Yeah. So I'm just moving all of them into that. Quotes. So this might actually be a fun way to start. So like I had all these quotes. And I think quotes can actually be a reference note. But like it's like one of the funniest things that I thought is like one of the quotes that I thought about is like the idea you just shot yourself in the foot because it was an easier target. Um so let's go ahead and actually turn this into a quote. So uh, and maybe there's a better way to do this, but I'll give this a try. So let's do Control T, core Zettel idea, references, me. Status is idea, then we can do quotes. We can do goal setting, right? So here's the idea with this. And I actually already want to change something because I hate the way. Okay. So the idea with this is it's just a funny quote. But I think the idea is really true. So a lot of people will do something that ends up hurting them because it's easier than doing the thing that they should be doing. So um so and maybe status idea. I could even do like convictions or something, might be another tag. But I really like the way this is kind of set up. So be people picking an easier degree, which ends up So we'll say which frees them up in the moment, but ends up nerfing their future potential income. So this is kind of the way that note taking in this system should be. And now if I want to reference it, now I can just say you shot yourself in the foot. And if that doesn't make sense, they can always just reference it. But now I have this as a reference that I can use anywhere. So let's go back. This one cracks me up. I'm going to change one more thing because I don't like the way that this date 2311 is okay. It's not terrible. I'll leave it for now. So, and actually a big thing for this would be the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. That's what that makes me think of. Let's see. Maybe like activation energy. And I'm just going to keep going through and updating a lot of these notes. So we'll see how that goes. So like bias towards action could be another one, right? And the reference, we'll just say quotes. So it's probably pretty vain that I save profound quotes and ideas that I have, but it is and other people, but let's see. It's much more exciting to be fighting for something rather than watching someone else accomplish their dreams. I feel like watching somebody else accomplish their dreams could actually be a very like hard quote or idea. Um let's say bias towards action. Um Trey quotes. So then, like, for this one, punishment for lying is a fractured self, core Zettel, idea, quote. Um, and you could even do like 12. Like, if ideally, I could say 12 rules for life. What's the rule where it's like always tell the truth? Tell the truth. 12 rules for life. Tell the truth. Let's see. So it's not a thing, but I could do rule 8. I could do that. And ideally that would be a link at some point. And let me actually see. Let me get rid of that. Um so let's just say That's why you spent hours rectifying your lie after you tell it. And we could even say like confirmation bias or something, right? Like, so this is a quote that I came up with recently. Okay, whatever. This is actually a thing I've been thinking about a lot recently as far as getting certs. So, like, one of my goals is to start speed running certifications, which is awesome because I think it gets people excited to like easily transform your life. Like, hey, you know, what if in 2 weeks you could get a cert where, now you're certified to be a project manager who's making 3 times as much money as you are in your current job. And that could all happen in 2 weeks. Um, and it's something that I've always enjoyed is um, like almost ultra learning, the idea of like accelerated learning. Like nothing gets me more excited than the promise of fast and less work. So even like trying to get an MBA, like one of the things I want to do is I want to make a video speed running an MBA through what's it called? WGU. I think I can do it in a month easily. Um Not because it's an easy program, but because it's to me it's worth it to be able to finish something and then have it done and get people excited like, hey, MBAs are super valuable. You could do it in a month if you put in a ridiculous amount of work and front load. Um, but that's the biggest thing. People are always like, oh, well, nothing is worth getting if you get it in a week. You know, oh, you're PSM level 1, your Scrum Master cert, not worth getting if you get it in a week. Oh, your CISSP, if you get that in a month, then you're not trying. PPM, your project management cert. Like everybody has a reason to discredit you, but this is kind of my argument for that is, um, so you can have the nicest camera and be a terrible photographer. I can have my Security Plus certification, my CISSP, masters in cybersecurity. Um, a huge title is like the CTO of a tech company, and I can be a terrible cybersecurity operator. But if I don't have my Sec Plus, if I don't have a degree in cybersecurity, a lot of people aren't even going to consider me as a cybersecurity person. And that's happened to a friend of mine. So I'm actually going to put that down real quick. So, um, Um, but I won't be a. And there's nuance to that, but that's kind of the idea. I want to help people get their foot in the door as fast as possible. Um, get your and then tags. I want to do like speed running certs. So maybe I'll get rid of it here. Get your qualifications as fast as possible, then build the skill set. Um, references, and this is a quote. So honestly, this feels really good. This whole system, um, not bad. I'm a huge fan. We could talk like certificates. Um, let's see what that looks like. This is when there was a ton of Ellen hate. I was just like, ah, oh, she was so much better as a fish. Probably should get rid of that one, but um, I think this might have been from Jordan Peterson actually. And I think this could be the quote, which is somewhere in the Bible. Um, maybe I'll just do Bible for now. I think that's fine. Self-control. Self-control Christianity. And these are all like weird quotes. So sorry if I'm being weird. Let's do it this way. Quotes. Okay, so let's go into something a little more helpful. Because I think I've got this down pretty well. So I'll have to get rid of that Scrum one. Actually, I can do that pretty easily. Scrum guide goes in here. So maybe I'll start with this. So this is going to be a reference note, right? Method, honestly, I can, unless I'm referencing it. But then best case, it'll be a Zettel. That needs to be more specific. Now it's actually 200. So what I'm gonna do here is actually take this. Nope. And then we'll call this like okay. Man, it's actually really hard to think about this. Maybe I don't want them as sections. Okay. So like each of these could be Zettels. It's actually a lot harder than I think because these aren't like like commitment isn't exclusive to Scrum. But like Scrum Master could be. And maybe I'll call them like Scrum developers. So this would be like a good optimal Scrum team size. The optimal size for a Scrum team. And I can just take this. I can actually reference. And that's okay. Scrum team. So that's where this is helpful. So Scrum guide, Scrum team. It looks like I have 2 Scrum teams. So I actually need to swap that. I need to consolidate them up here. And I think that that's pretty good. Too large, break it off, but share product goal backlog. I don't really need with my theme that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the template. Ten or fewer people. Scrum guide. Honestly, I think that this is wrong. I think I should be doing Zettels. So for now, that's fine. Okay. It'd be really hard to do this with Security Plus because the things just get so specific. But it'd actually be pretty like spear phishing. I could go in and create a core Zettel. Malicious. Through. And then I could even have links on like some of the tags would be like security. Actually, I can do it. I could do security plus at social engineering techniques. And then tags could be stuff like social engineering, fishing. That's honestly, this would be really helpful. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to save fishing and smishing as their own. Of fishing. Synonym. Still mess it up. Let's see. Or we can say SMS fishing. Attack vector, and then fishing. The reference is going to be security plus at social engineering. Dumpster diving. Woo. So like watering hole, and this is basically just turning into a security plus study session. um, but this will be helpful for me to just kind of piece together the steps. So watering hole. A common um a common let's see, how would you common So for example, frequently visits. Like the coffee shop where they use Wi-Fi to work. Security plus. Social engineering. Spam. Security plus at 1.1. Influence campaign. Now this could actually be a really cool one because it happens so much. Security plus 1.1. And then I could even say like, here are some preventing tailgating. Oops. Tags, and we can say again. Social engineering. I don't know. So I could even do this and say there are various types of malware. There are various types of malware that are able to attack fileless malware. Crypto malware, Trojan, pup, rat, adware, spyware, and then backdoor. I think that's pretty close to being what I want. Okay. So backdoor. So eventually I want it to be like a paragraph summary where then it spirals out. So this would kind of be the idea, like types of malware that are able to attack a victim's you know, they can employ various password attacks. Okay. Can employ various password attacks to sensitive information. And okay. And then I can try to extract this, call it password attacks. Get rid of that. Oh, oops, that was actually dumb. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Where's that all? Let's just delete that. Let's take this, put it here. Password. Malware. Okay. Maybe I should make that a separate thought. I don't even know if this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but we'll see. Malware, social engineering. Not really. Do cyber. And it's security plus. I'm still in one. No, I'm in 1.2 types of attacks. Honestly, I need to take a break. Man, I'm tired. All right, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for a bit. I may get back on later, but that was 2 hours of learning a minimalist system for Zettelkasten and then trying to implement it. So hope it helped. See ya.